This bulletin is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, 2 persons confirmed dead after a light aircraft crashed onto a school compound in Tema Community 1. We have details as security officials struggle to cordon off the crash site. Also coming up, Accra High Court orders the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Ntwibwe-Siakon, alias Chairman Wontumi, and his company, Akonta Mining Limited, to open their defense in a criminal trial over alleged illegal mining activities linked to the Samre Boy concession. And later in the bulletin, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, to maintain transport fares following a crunch meeting this afternoon, and this is despite the hike in fuel prices. We'll give you the specific breakdown of what has informed this decision in a moment. We are live around the world on 3news.com. Before we give you the details, here are some news summaries with Christabel Success Trevor.
We begin with a very sad one because reports reaching 3FM is that a Sky Arrow microlight aircraft has crashed in Tema Community 1, Site 17. 2 pilots are feared dead. Eyewitnesses say the incident occurred about 3:30 p.m. The Ghana Fire Service personnel are said to be on the ground to assess the situation and offer necessary assistance. The scene of the incident has also been cordoned off to prevent interference, and we'll bring you more of this in updates very shortly. Now, the seven-member committee tasked to investigate the alleged unethical medical practices, including patients being charged exorbitant amounts for services at the Greater Accra Regional Ridge Hospital and the Kolibu Teaching Hospital, has presented its report to the Ministry of Health. The committee established some forms of unethical practices. The committee, chaired by Dr. Inwa Yusuf, head of legal affairs, is among other things recommending that Dr. Stephen Mabwa, who was reported to be at the center of the allegations of unethical behavior at the Ridge Hospital, be subjected to disciplinary procedures. 3 suspects have been arrested in connection with a murder and assault case at Beniri in the Savannah region following an intelligence-led operation by the police. In a statement issued earlier today, the suspects identified as Yao Bamwa, Ya Buka and Kumasimpo were apprehended on March 14, 2026 by the Inspector General of Police's Special Intelligence Team in collaboration with the Savannah Regional Police Command. According to the police, the arrests form part of ongoing investigations into a violent attack at Bingiri, which resulted in a murder and injuries to other individuals. Finally, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, has called on the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, to annul the appointment of a senior assistant librarian as acting vice principal of the Dambai College of Education, describing the decision as contrary to established academic governance rules. In an open letter dated Monday, March 16, 2026, the association argued that the appointment of Dr. Fred Alpha Adams to the role does not conform to the harmonized statutes governing colleges of education or the post-migration guidelines issued by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. CITAG explained that the position of vice principal is an academic leadership role, which under the applicable statutes must be filled by a qualified member of the academic staff within the recognized academic progression structure. And that's it for the news summary on Hot Edition. We have details of these and a lot more on our website, 3news.com. Please do well to reach out there. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's settle for the details of the stories now. And we are starting from that unfortunate news that broke about 2.5 hours ago, or just around a few hours ago, that a light aircraft has crashed in a school within the Tema Community 1, Site 17 enclave. Now, 2 persons on board the aircraft, you're told, have died. Their bodies, unfortunately, were charred as a result of the crash. The aircraft caught fire and has led to the death of these 2 individuals. The Ghana National Fire Service was quick to respond to distress calls that came in from the area, and information we have indicate that they've been able to cordon off the area, although that was quite a difficulty for them. They've been able to cordon off the area, so at least they can be able to investigate to find out what exactly led to the crash and what might be the... Maybe if they are able to pick up the black box, they could probably get some further information regarding what must have caused this crash. And what, at least, irrespective of the fact that people have died, 2 individuals have died, what at least is a bit heartwarming is that the aircraft crashed within a preschool premises, which means ordinarily that area should have been filled with school children. But God being so good, the aircraft at the time of impact, there were no school children in the premises. And so it's just the 2 individuals on board that lost their lives as a result of the crash. Let's speak to security consultant Richard Kumado on this. Mr. Kumado, good evening to you. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining us on 3FM.
You're welcome.
What information have you been able to pick regarding this aircraft? Clearly, where it fell is a place of concern. This is a residential or at least a public place. So what information have you been able to gather from the security front?
My house is not too far from Oniku Park. It's a place we know. We walk in there morning, afternoon, evening. We know how densely it is when school is in session. Thankfully, the crash happened when students were not around, and that is a good thing. Having said that, it will be proper for the school authorities and the police to inform the general public what they have gathered so far. Then again, we'll also be expecting the Incident and Accident Bureau of the Ghana Armed Forces to be calling to help with this particular investigation in line with standard procedure. But what is important is that I think what we are hearing, piece and pieces of it, it will be proper for we to have a policy as to what happens with these little helis, who owns them, what they can do, what they cannot do. And that is going to help us a lot. And I want to believe that tomorrow at the National Security Council, issues about national safety, national security, national precautionary measures should feature predominantly so that determinations can be made about what the mitigation factors are going to be on the government side and on the private sector side.
Wow, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that you're probably actually quite close to the area of the incident. So I don't know whether you were at home or in and around the area when it happened. So you can give us an idea what you must have picked up from people who witnessed it.
It's a crash, and everybody will want to go to the place. It means that public education hasn't gone down well with our people. When the crash happened, everybody will want to troop there, and they will mess up with the crime scene. So you could see people running in and out, and it has become message for everybody. And people want to see it happen. People want to witness it, and in so doing, that level of curiosity and agitation, and people mourning, and people want to help out of their own will. We in the area of investigations and crime scene management are affected, but you could see it's a topical issue now. Far and near Committee 1. The whole Committee 1 has been engulfed with this news, and it's going to travel across the whole country, just like people have heard. People were taking pictures, and people were sending it, even though we have warned not to do that. So that thing, from Z9 to what we are seeing, public education, awareness creation will have to be key on agenda.
And that's another interesting thing, the bit about the fact that when there is a crash, people rush to the scene, and I'm sure on their minds 2 things. One is to, of course, witness so they can also say, tell people about it. But more importantly, if there is the ability to help or save, those who may have been trapped, the victims, then they can offer that assistance. But from the security point of view, what is the advice that you say people are not heeding to, that when there is these kinds of accidents, people should not go to the site at all, or what exactly should they do if they are in and around the place?
That our response time, our emergency response time is not too great, depending on where the incident or the accident might have occurred, people will want to get closer. But the advice is that the police, the Ghana Fire Service, and all persons within the investigative arena are interested in the crime scene. So even if you get there before them, remember that once you get into the crime scene, you contaminate the place, and it so much affects the levels of investigation. A lot of resources have to go in order to ravel it and bring the best to the people of Ghana. So yes, we are not saying don't come close, but remember, be mindful that you are not the first respondent. The first respondent is Ghana Fire Service, is Ghana Police, and probably if the military is brought in, then the Accident and Incident Investigation Bureau. And that is the way it has to be. But I think our people, sometimes curiosity and excitement and anxiousness get involved. They get into the inner perimeter and they contaminate all manner of things they are not supposed to touch.
Right. Maybe my last two questions, then you can take leave of us. So now we know that the fire service and the police service have been able to get to the site. They tried, with the limited resources they had, to cordon off the place. What should they be looking out for in terms of investigation? This, what they call it a light mini aircraft. What should they be looking out for regarding investigation?
Okay, so all the departments, there are different things the fire service will be looking out for. There are different things the accident bureau, the Incident and Accident Investigation Bureau at the Ghana Armed Forces will be looking out for. There are different things the police will be looking out for. For the police crime scene investigators, they have the ability of reconstructing the crime scene to come up with actually what happened when the heli touched ground, or whether it has gone entangled with some tree, because Onego is a lot of tree area. You have a lot of greeny trees and all over the place, and it's a big patch. So whether they got entangled with a tree, or actually it crashed and it got bent, or what actually happened, those preliminary issues will be determined by the police. But when the AIB comes in from the Ghana Armed Forces, their standard is that they have 1 month to come up with a preliminary investigation outcome and have 1 year to deal with the issues gradually and concretely. And I believe within the 1 year, they'll be looking at procedure, they'll be looking at human error, they'll be looking at technical equipment failure, and they'll be looking at the status of the equipment and the background of the pilots and whoever might have been with them, and the mission and what the standard procedure protocols are, whether they follow them in the first place. So these are the things that will be appropriate or will be essential to all the ones that will come there as first responders, even though each one of them has a peculiar area of specialty they want to deal with.
Mr. Kumado, thank you so much for your time this evening. And Richard Kumado is a fraud and security analyst, helping us at least look at the security perspective of what exactly may have not necessarily led to the accident, but now that it has happened, what the next steps should be on ensuring that the property in the area is secure, so those who had gathered there earlier are still able to leave the site for the state authorities to be able to better investigate and have access to the crash site. And it comes on the back of, just about a year ago when we recorded a similar accident where 8 of our compatriots passed away as a result of a helicopter crash. This one, yes, some are calling it a helicopter, but if you look at the aircraft in question, it is described as a micro aircraft, and that is why a micro light aircraft. So the name even suggests that it cannot carry many people, and it is actually light, and so something that will be in the air. If any strong wind blows it, it could, in and of itself, start causing problems. But more importantly, the concern is, why was it flying at the time and over a school premises? Was it that it was looking for an open place to land? Did it have an emergency? And do these aircraft have the clearance to, also communicate to a tower before they can take off? Or because it's a mini aircraft, private sector, they can fly as and when they like within the airspace? Who has the authority to fly in and around our airspace at what point in time? A lot more questions seem to be, on the minds of many who have also followed this story, as against answers that we are getting now. And we'll try and get you some more answers when we do get them. But on Zoom now, joining us is Dr. Nanaya Akwada, who is the chief of the Bureau of Public Safety. Nanaya, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Martin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you too. Thank you for your time. I know you know the Tema Enclave quite well, and following this story of a light aircraft crashing, what are the immediate safety thoughts that come to mind when you heard the news?
Well, thank you very much, Martin. If you know the Oninku Drive School Park very well, you will know that the immediate thoughts that will come to mind will be the human casualty. I grew up there. It's just about 3 minutes away from my home. We used to pray in that park a lot. I am not quite familiar with recent, infrastructure development, on the school park. But be that as it may, this aircraft incident, from what we are gathering, occurred at the time when school was in session, or when school was about to go out of session, right? So the first thought is, oh God, how many people will be involved in this? Did it run into a building? Did it just crash into the trees on the campus, or just, crashed in open space? That is what came to mind. Having said that, I want to say that our thoughts are with the individuals on board that aircraft and their families as the nation, awaits confirmation of further details, right? I think emergency responders on the ground and who are working to secure the area, to support ongoing response efforts, we want to say kudos to them. We further would like to urge members of the public to avoid the crash site, to allow for these agencies, to investigate or to carry out their investigations, safely. At this stage, it is important that the public avoids speculation and rely on verifiable or verified information from appropriate authorities as the investigation unfolds. And it is at this point that at the Bureau, we always have issues with state, agencies in emergencies like this, right? There's a lot of anxiety. It's 5:20 p.m. So if you're a parent and you are not home, you don't know whether your child is home. Maybe there's nobody to find, let you know whether your child has returned. You are anxious. There are people who also have, nephews and nieces in that school. They want to know what's happening with their children. So I always say that in emergencies like this, information must flow. I am looking forward. It's one thing with what we look forward to, as has been the case since 2009 to date. And one thing, how the state handle some of these things. But in civilized jurisdictions, okay, what we have will be that once this is in a school park, okay, we would want to see probably the regional police commander. We would like to see the MP for the area. We want to see the head teacher of the school, or the head teachers of the school, because Oninku Park is primary and elementary, right? We want to see them together. There are two major clinics in those areas. I'm not too sure if they are hospitals now, Lagoon Clinic and Port Clinic. We want to see their medical directors there. Face the media, give the public some assurances that, okay, this is what we know so far. There's been no casualties, involving students. This is where parents who have not seen their children could call, so we can calm nerves within the public. It is the anxiety within the public in these times like this that makes people spread false rumors. It is how we make information flow in times like this that builds trust in our emergency response, agencies. Sometimes we miss these things, when things like this happen, and we don't get to build trust. So it's absolutely important while we call on, the public to avoid speculations. We are also calling on the authorities to galvanize, mobilize, and bring information to the public. At this point, the Bureau of Public Safety, we will continue to monitor developments. We encourage calm, as the relevant, aviation and emergency agencies establish the facts surrounding this tragic incident. But we want to call for information to be coming very quickly.
And certainly so that then it can allay the concerns and the fears of many who especially live within that area or have family members in that catchment area. But talk to us also about the general issues of safety. We know that aircrafts usually would need some clearance before they can take off. We are uncertain as to whether this particular one had the clearance to take off, whether it also had the permission to, hover around the areas where it unfortunately ended up. But what should the public know when it comes to issues of aircraft safety, especially light aircraft and private aircraft that we see every now and then, when it comes to the general public and where they have the authorization to fly over? What can you tell us in terms of an advice or information?
Well, thank you very much, Martin. I think with regard to you asked about 3 questions, but some of your questions have been addressed, and listening to my senior, Richard Kumado. Of course, he was my senior in Ada Secondary School on the same block.
Oh, I see.
I've seen his passion from school days in the 90s till date. So I heard him speak, and he spoke a lot to, those aspects. And I have nothing useful to add again. He's completely exhausted, every area that he touched. But I have said we should hold on until the facts are bare. One, we want to, until otherwise proven, we want to assume that this aircraft was cleared to take off. And emergency landings can happen anywhere that is spacious and conducive. It does not appear to me that this was an emergency landing, seeing that it crashed, right? So as to whether they communicated with control tower or not, we don't know all of these facts. And when an aircraft, this will not be the first time aircrafts are landing on school parks in Tema. There is another park, close by, about 1 or 2 kilometers from Oninku, Mantading School Park. When we were growing back, living at Site 19, we've had helicopters land at the Mantading School Park several times. And in those days when we were kids, as soon as we hear the rotors, grinding, we all ran towards it, unbeknown to us, the hazards, to go and watch it. And they've had emergency landings in those, spaces. So it's perfectly normal. But if this aircraft, was in touch with a control tower and they decided to land, emergency landing, I would expect, a few emergency calls to be made to evacuate the school compound, evacuate everywhere. Fire service will be standing on. It doesn't look like that's what happened, and I don't want us to go into
speculations. Yeah. Okay.
For now, let's wait for the relevant aviation and emergency agencies to establish the facts surrounding this incident, and then we can go into the details. But as far as I know, up to now, we have not heard the regional police commander. I've not seen the MP for the area. I've not seen the head teachers of the school, medical directors around the area. These are the people that the public want to face. These are the people that when they speak, we can calm our nerves down. And we've seen nothing hours into this crash. And that suggests to me that we still need to tighten our national emergency response, protocols, so that people would know when these things happen. It's a call to duty for them. It's not time for us to be sitting in the comfort of our homes and not do anything. We need to come out here and speak to the public, face the media, so that information from the media will go out. Of course, I know by tomorrow, by this time, the Air Accident Investigation Branch or the Ghana Civil Aviation may have put out, a one-pager. Often these pages are empty. They really don't tell us anything. That one will come. unless I'm wrong, between 2009 till now, we've seen several of these and how it plays out. And then maybe 72 hours towards the 100-hour mark, snippets of information will start trickling in, the identities of the persons, which I'm not asking them to put identities out, but it will start trickling in. But for the fact that Tema is such an organized space, I think that going further without any serious press conference involving the people I've listed, that is a gap in our emergency response procedures, and we must be seeking to address it.
Okay. Great advice you put there. And finally, before you go, still on issues of advice, I know that you are a very safety conscious person. Richard Kumado and a number of other individuals we have spoken to over time have warned that whenever these kinds of accidents happen, people should be cautious. How about those who actually can help and want to help? How do we decipher between rushing to the scene in an attempt to help people who may be trapped, the victims, or staying away totally, just wait for the appropriate authorities to come in? How do we decipher this?
Well, I'll tell you what we have is that there's a reason why we have more than 275 offices, not more offices across the country. And mind you, I said more than that. Okay, not more offices are littered across the country. All these people draw on salaries. The act that set NADMO up empowers them to actually have a reserve. Okay, these are done in civilized jurisdiction. Every country where they value human life, they have all these structures in place, right? The act empowers NADMO to recruit even a reserve. If we follow these, the act, the reasoning behind the setting up of NADMO and the dictates within the act, we shouldn't have these challenges. The sanctity of some of these incidents and what made some of these incidents help investigators to narrow down to root causes of incidents is accident scenes preservation, right? Look at the numbers of people that massed up around the crash site. Only God knows what debris this aircraft dropped before it eventually crashed. Who is going to be in possession of those? How critical are those components to the investigation? So if we had NADMO offices all over and we have a NADMO reserve who are citizens in the country, some of these things immediately such individuals will have the relevant gear and authority to secure these spaces even before the formal emergency response agencies appear there, right? That is lacking, and we keep saying that, look, until we run our national emergency response plan, we drill ourselves, these things will continue recurring. It has always occurred and recurred. For instance, why don't the NADMO have a reserve? Why should we not? A big country like the United States, with all their human power in military, they still have the reserve. There are people who are going to their jobs every day, but they are reserve of the United States Army. They are reserve of the United States the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They have these reserve. These reserve fellows are embedded in the communities. So whenever something happens, there are people who show up, who have the authority, they have the know-how, and what it takes to secure accident spaces.
Right.
I don't know why the act specifically states it. We don't have it, right? And the police, there are police stations in every area. Okay, the Community 1 police station is less than 2 kilometers from the Oninku School Park. It shouldn't take the police more than 10 minutes to mobilize and get there. I'm telling you, it shouldn't take the police more than 10 minutes.
Right. We actually spoke to the National Fire Service officer who confirmed that they were able to get to the scene within 3 minutes after they had a distress call.
Yes, because they are that close to the area. But that is the point. Why should the fire service get there? And in other interviews, I heard them saying the fire service was trying to cordon off the area, but with what? with what?
Right.
Because the images that we saw, there were people close by the aircraft, close by the action. And I pray that the scene is properly secured. Otherwise, by daybreak, the scrap material, guys will probably go and scrap other parts and get away with it. These are people who are brazen. They are breaking, roads to remove, steel from it to go and sell. What about the one that's just lying idle? So I know the police will do their job, but at the end of the day, we must use some of these things as test cases to, review our emergency response plans.
Doc, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Martin. I'm still looking forward to that one brilliant T-shirt to give me.
It's going to come. It's certainly going to come. Thank you so much.
Let it come. Okay, bye.
Right. And Dr. Nanaya Akwada is Chief of Bureau, the Bureau of Public Safety, clearly helping us put into better perspective the concerns raised regarding safety when it comes to such emergencies, and then also the fact that there is a gap that quickly needs to be filled, which has to do with the fact that the security agencies, the relevant authorities, and the appropriate bodies that need to be first respondents to any of these emergencies, they need to start addressing the media or the public to ease concerns and tensions that may be arising as a result of the accident. For those of you who are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, you can see the videos that we have just captured from the site scene. The military is there, the police is there, the fire service is there. They are all trying to ensure that at least some sanity is brought to the place. You can also see that they've cordoned off the entirety of the area, so the public have been held at bay so that the security agencies can go in and start the emergency investigation, to also ascertain for themselves what may have caused the accident. And if you look at the videos we have on our social media page at the moment, you could tell that it looks as though some construction was even going on the site where the aircraft landed. So you can see these steel bending machines and then also steel machines for construction there. And some trees have also fallen off. We cannot tell at the moment whether it's as a result of the crash or these trees had been uprooted already before the light aircraft landed in the area. So the police are there. I'm sure those of you who are streaming, you can see these videos. And clearly, we are all thankful to God that at the time of the impact, the preschool pupils were not in school. And you can see they have these ABCD 1, 2, 3 posters that actually have been pasted on their walls, which help these children to concentrate and learn while in school. But that particular day of the impact, which is about 3 or 4 hours ago, they were not in the premises. Only God knows what the story would have been were they there at the time of the crash. But thanks be to God that at least no pupil was around, and the security agencies are there to try to get information regarding the investigations. NADMO officials, like you heard Dr. Nanaya Akwada refer to, NADMO officials are also there. They are supposed to be first respondents. When I questioned him about why they keep advising people not to rush to crash sites, the concern is we feel naturally as humans to try and rush to some of these places to save those who may be trapped or victims who may need some kind of assistance. But his response is that NADMO offices are dotted almost every corner of the country, so they should be part of the very first respondents, and they should have fair knowledge on how to salvage a situation, especially if it is a crash site or an emergency situation or an accident scene. They should be able to get there first and use their expertise to try and save those who may be needing assistance. And then also, if there are any unfortunate bodies or unfortunate issues of people who have lost their lives, these NADMO officials should be able to get them out of the mangled structure. So they are also at the scene as we speak, police officers also with their guns, soldiers also with their guns there, and some level of peace and sanity has returned to the area, but now investigation fully is about to take place. And the aircraft clearly is what we have been describing all along, that it is a light aircraft that we got the news around 3 p.m. that it had crashed in Tema Community 1, Site 17, and the investigations have commenced in earnest. Our man George Queening is there. We'll try and speak to him if we are able to get that connection, and then if we do, we'll pick his thoughts on what he has seen now that he's in the premises and has been able to engage a number of the officials who are there and citizens as well who are eyewitnesses at the location as a result of the crash. Also, we know as a people, especially those who have been around for some time, this is not the first time that these kinds of emergency landings have happened where, an aircraft mid-air feels it has a challenge, would look for the nearest open space so it can land. That's what you call an emergency landing, because clearly where it wants to land is not where it should be landing. So if it does land in such a place, it gives an indication that it probably is because of an emergency. And even Dr. Nanaya Akwada referred to it as, it does happen often, especially within the Tema enclave, where you have a few open spaces. Once in a while, you have these aircrafts landing there. Could be for emergency, could be a planned landing, probably to pick something or to drop something. So it is normal, but for such instances, you can tell that it was an accident, and we are told that 2 occupants within this aircraft have lost their lives, probably because of the impact when it touched the ground. So we would update you as and when we get further information regarding this unfortunate incident, which is that a light aircraft has crashed in Tema Community 1, killing 2 people on board. Fire service, the Ghana Police Service, and the military are there. NADMO officials are also there to immediately start their investigations to get to the bottom of it. We'll update you subsequently when we get further and better information. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Desanwe Kanda in Accra. We're shifting our attention to some other stories quickly, and the High Court has ordered Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Mfiboisiakun, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, and his company, Akonta Mining Limited, to open their defense in a criminal trial over alleged illegal mining activities linked to the Samre Boy concession. The ruling was delivered by Justice Audrey Kokuvite after the court dismissed a submission of no case to answer filed by the defense. The court held that evidence presented by the prosecution was sufficient to require the accused person to respond to the charges. Chairman Wontumi and Akonta Mining Limited have each pleaded not guilty to the charges of assignment of mineral rights without approval and purposely facilitating an unlicensed mining operation commonly referred to as galamsey. A third accused person, Kwame Entry, director of Akonta Mining Limited, is currently on the run. Let's speak to Martin Asiedu-Dartey, who is a private legal practitioner. He's joined us on the line for this. Counsel, very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Hello, Mr. Kwebu. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay, good evening. Evening.
Right.
Yeah.
To start with,
Okay.
we are told that Chairman Wontumi and his company, Akonta Mining, have been asked to open their defense. To the layman, what does that mean? We thought all this while that they've been going to court, the prosecution or the person bringing the case to court gets their say, then Wontumi and his lawyers also have their say. Is that the situation? What does it mean if you say they should open their defense?
Yes, so it's close to what you've said. It's close, except that so to be more technically accurate, this time the whole burden is on Wontumi to give a good answer. Okay, when I use the word good answer, it's a bit too much. Let's say to punch some holes in the case that the prosecution presented. So this is why it is. Like you rightly said, when the case went to court, the Attorney General called his witnesses. For each witness that the Attorney General called, Wuntumi's lawyer, Apia Kubi, had an opportunity to punch holes in that witness's evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they kept punching and punched all the holes they could. So at the end of the number of witnesses that the Attorney General called, then they were asked to do analysis. So at this point, the Apia Kubi had to address the court to show that, I'm putting emphasis on his side, to show that the holes they think they've punched in the case of the prosecution, that the questions they've asked the witnesses and they thought that these questions posed the witnesses were sufficient to stop the trial. So that's the exercise that Apia Kubi did. When they say file a submission of no case, you do an analysis. Yes, this witness, is this name Martin Asiedu-Dartey?
Yes, this is Martin.
So it means that the document that Apia Kubi presented, he told the court that, you see, when Martin Asiedu-Dartey, for example, entered, I asked him this question. This is the answer he gave. You see, the answer is porous. I asked him this other one. He was evasive, etc. Then Christabel Success entered the box. I asked him this. He couldn't answer well. And then that one. So those were all the analysis. Then he said yes. And so the Supreme Court said, when this happens, this is what you do. Court of Appeal also says, yes, when this happens, this is what you do. Oh, there's even another high court. He's your equal. He also says, when this kind of evasive answer is given, this is what you do. So that is the sum of what Apia Kubi did, showing that he punched enough holes to make the case a foolish case. So the judge should stop the trial. But with the answer the court has said, it means that the court is thrown out their submissions. The court is saying, no, not enough holes have been punched to make the trial or to make the case a foolish case. It means that they didn't dent the witnesses enough. They didn't show that some things are lacking. Now, let me see if you have a minute. Let me go in with this example I've given. Now, let me go in a big technical level, see.
Okay.
So, let's say to establish illegal mining, right? So, you would be able to show that the state, the Attorney General had to show that, let's say, there's this concession, they saw Chairman Wuntumi there, and then Chairman Wuntumi didn't have a license. So to punch these holes, if Wuntumi could show that, this place you said, I'm not the one, it's not me. You are mistaking me for somebody. If he could show clearly that it's not him, it's not his company, then they could walk. Or if he could show that, this place, I have a license, look at it, granted by the Minerals Commission on this and this and this date, etc., he could walk. Those are the things we mean by punch the holes. He couldn't do any of this. So that's how come at the end of the day, then the court said, there's a case to answer. You must answer. Why? So this now a last opportunity to this Wuntumi to be able to show that he and his company, when they went to that particular site, they had the right to go there. If he's not able to show, then that means that he's guilty of the offense.
Right.
So this is very serious.
Right.
Yeah.
So indirectly saying that the judge listened to the prosecution and thinks there is some case. However, like a country that is practicing democracy and rule of law, the person being accused must also state their case and try and downplay or whittle away as much as possible the case that has been leveled against them.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
Okay. Now, and where does this leave us? How long could this take if already the prosecution process has gone a little over a year, if my calculation is right? How long else could we go to before we get to the bottom of this?
I think to me, so if my memory serves me right, which one was that? They started in October.
Okay, so October 2025.
Yes.
Okay.
So hopefully, at this rate, if Wuntumi doesn't have many witnesses, then we'll be lucky that by July, that the time will be by July 31st. The time will be going on break for 2.5 months. They should be able to finish because the speed is good.
Right.
The speed is good. Yes. So even if they can't finish in July, then we have pretty good chances that by December, when we go and come back, when we come back, we still have October to December. So it means that either 31st July or 31st December, we should be able to finish one of these.
Right.
Considering that, looking at the rate at which it has gone.
And finally, if the accused persons are ultimately found guilty of assigning mineral rights without approval and facilitating illegal mining, what penalties could they potentially face under our mining laws?
Yes, illegal mining is the one that's the biggest. So you are looking at a minimum of 20 years, right? Yes, when it's Ghanaian. Okay. So that's what is huge. Assignment of mineral rights without the consent of the Minerals Commission carries a far lesser sentence. I don't seem to remember that immediately, but it's far lesser. So it's the illegal mining, Galamsey. That is the crown jewel. That one is huge. Yes, it's huge.
Okay. Counsel, thank you so much for your thoughts and your time.
You're welcome.
And private legal practitioner Martin Pebu there helping us put into better perspective these concerns we are getting from the court, which is that the High Court has ordered the Ashanti Regional Chair of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Ntwibwe-Sianko. Many of you know him as Chairman Wontumi. Now the court is asking him to open his defense in the criminal trial that has been leveled against him by the state for his activities, the illegal mining activities that him and his company is alleged to have undertaken in the Samre Boy concession. So we would update you subsequently when we get further and better particulars regarding that story. Away from that, you know that in the coming days, following the developments in the Middle East, we are likely to see an increase in fuel prices, or our fuel prices could be impacted one way or the other if the war in the Middle East does persist or goes on. And locally, we are being told that we need to brace ourselves. However, there could be some mitigating measures for us to enjoy. So what we are being told is that the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has announced that transport fares will be maintained at their current rate after holding an executive meeting a while ago. This follows a recent fuel price hike in petroleum products, partly due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, leading to disruptions in fuel supply globally. Checks across the fuel stations, the retail outlets indicate that diesel has experienced an increase moving from 11.42 Ghana cedis to 14.35 Ghana cedis per litre. At some fuel stations, petrol has increased from 12.49 cedis. Fuel has increased, petrol actually has increased to 12.49 cedis from 11.5 cedis, while liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, has also increased from 9.38 cedis to 10.67 cedis per kilogram. Transport operators say such increases significantly affect the operational cost, particularly as other vehicle-related expenses remain high. Let's speak to Alhaji Moro Abbas, who is the Industrial Relations Officer for the GPRTU. Alhaji, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, sir. I'm the Senior Industrial Relations Officer for GPRTU Greater Accra, but PRO for GPRTU Ghana.
Oh, PRO GPRTU Ghana, but
yes.
Senior Industrial Officer for Greater Accra.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Thanks for the correction. But we are told that you held a meeting.
Yes, we met.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we met. Not only GPRTU, GRTCC, and other transport operators as well. We resolved that for now we have to take our time. We don't have to rush, because fuel itself it's been going up and down, and we don't know if it's going to climb up more than our expectation, or it's going to be reduced as we've been experiencing. So at the meeting, finally, we decided to hold on for now, for any upward adjustment or otherwise.
Right. And what could be influencing this? Is it purely what's happening in the Middle East that could, affect or change the pricing?
That is exactly what the cause is. And we are imagining it could go up more than what we are expecting, or it could be reduced even drastically. So we finally decided not to rush in taking any decisions for now.
And what timelines are
ourselves to wait for some time.
Right. And the waiting for some time is actually a bit broad. We know that clearly President Donald Trump has said that the war in the Middle East could go on for a few more weeks. He said 4 to 5 weeks. Are you able to still hold on for that time frame? Is that what you're working with?
Oh, no, we are working for profit. So there is no way we could jeopardize with our business that we are doing. We want to be reasonable with ourselves and the business that we are doing.
Okay, right. Then we can all just cross our fingers and see how all of this Middle East situation would play out. But we thank you for speaking to us this evening.
Come again.
I said we are grateful that you made time to speak with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alhaji. Thank you. And Alhaji Moro Abbas is the PRO of GPRTU Ghana, and then also the Industrial Relations Officer for GPRTU Accra, helping us, with why they have decided, in fact, explaining why they have decided not to increase transport fares, although fuel prices have started changing at some pumps. He says that they are likely to hold on for some time. As to the length of that some time is what we are unable to tell for now. But he largely says that their decision or the current prices that are affecting the pumps or the fuel at the various filling stations is as a result of what's happening in the Middle East, but they are also monitoring very closely and would update us going forward on what exactly we need to do as a country. Before we leave the studios, though, the Citizen Platform for Constitutional Reform is urging President Mahama to fast-track the implementation of the Constitutional Review Committee's recommendations. The group laments the delay, noting that although the committee submitted its summary report to the President on December 22, 2025 and followed with its final report on January 2026, the public is yet to see any action regarding that. The Citizens Platform insists that the immediate publication of the Constitutional Review Committee's report is critical for transparency and meaningful public participation. They also caution against relying solely on a government position paper, which they say could limit open debate on the matter. Let's listen to Professor Akosia, who has been talking or speaking on this matter.
The implementation roadmap, including the role of the proposed implementation committee and how citizens and stakeholders will participate in shaping the final reforms. The almost 2 months delay puts additional pressure on the already short timelines for this important exercise. We urge the President and government to move with alacrity to establish a clear and transparent roadmap for the implementation of the CRC recommendations. The Citizens Platform is calling on the government to 1. Publish the CRC report now. The government must immediately release the full Constitutional Review Committee report so that citizens can examine the proposals and participate meaningfully in shaping the reforms.
In more news tonight, we have news just coming in from the Office of the President, and it has to do with the recruitment into the security services. So President John Dramani Mahama has directed for an expansion of the recruitment into the security services. There's a statement signed by Felix Kwakye Ofosu, who is the spokesperson to the President and Minister for Government Communications, and I'm reading the statement verbatim. It says, President John Mahama has held a high-level meeting with the heads of security agencies, the Minister for the Interior and Acting Minister for Defense on the ongoing recruitment services, the ongoing security services recruitment process. Following a briefing on the process, the President has directed that the number of men and women to be recruited to the various security services should be increased from 20,000 to 40,000 over a 4-year period, which technically means 10,000 per year. The President has also directed the heads of the security agencies